Healthy is here to stay, and it's changing the way self-service retail works. Today on Retail on the Go, we have a very special episode. We're talking with Cathy Horgan and Cassie Hardick from Olipop about the rise of better-for-you snacks and drinks in vending, micromarkets, and beyond. Ready? Let's go.
Welcome back to the Retail on the Go podcast. We're exploring what's driving the future of self-service commerce. Of course, I'm your host, Russ Russell. I've got our on-air producer, Anders, and we've got some great guests for you today. How's it going, Anders?
Doing great. Really happy to be here today. Going to have a great conversation about some maybe healthier options for us moving into the self-service retail industry.
Do you eat healthy snack options, Anders?
Pretty much no. No, I am not a healthy person. A lot of snacking, but mostly beef sticks and cheese.
I would count that as healthy. My house,
a lot of nitrites though.
My house is because of my wife is very healthy, so I don't even get the good snacks unless I'm at a show or something with all of our wonderful industry food. But no, today it's kind of on topic. We're diving into trends, kind of reshaping vending micromarkets as a whole, which is really just the rise in the better for you, healthier food and beverage options.
That's right. More consumers are reaching for snacks and drinks that do more to support gut health, energy, hydration, you name it. And the question for operators is, are you giving them what they want?
Well, let's just dive in and see. We got great guests with us today. Today we have Cathy Horgan, the VP of Food Service and On-Prem at Olipop, as well as Cassie Hardick, the National Account Manager for Olipop. And they're just going to join us today and share kind of what they're seeing across the industry, how operators can make healthier food, I guess, for their case, beverage options, a win for their customers and the bottom line. And I have to admit, we are an Olipop family, so we're trying to help them keep the lights on. So I'm excited to talk to them. But Cassie, if y'all want to say hi and introduce yourselves real quick.
Sure. So first of all, thanks Russ and Anders for having us. We're pretty excited to be with you guys today. I'll just do a quick intro if that works, and I'll hand it over to Cassie. So I started my career, I've been in food or drink or beverage my entire life. I started my career at General Mills near you, Anders, up in Minneapolis. And then I headed to Atlanta with the Coca-Cola Company, primarily kind of leading our big customer team. So I ran our whole food service group with to include Home Depot, Compass, Sodexo, Aramark, Subway, and then leading our McDonald's division. So for the U.S. Then I jumped into being an entrepreneur. I built a real estate app with a founder of mine. And then now I'm super proud to say that in the last year and a half, I've been with Olipop, leading their food service.
Food and beverage to real estate, and then back to food and beverage. I like it.
I missed it.
It's hard to leave a CPG once you get in it. So, and nice to meet you guys. My name is Cassie Hardick. I'm the National Account Manager, as Russ had mentioned, and I have been in beverage my entire career. I come from the booze side of the beverage, so a little less healthy than what I'm doing now, but it was a lot of fun. I worked with brands such as, Heineken, most recently Mark Anthony brands, and then I also worked in the juice industry for a little bit. And I have been at Olipop for almost a year now. Very, very happy to be here and happy to chat with you guys today.
Awesome. Well, appreciate the introductions. And with that, we're just going to hop on in. Why, healthy is always, I think, kind of been considered a niche in the marketplace. Honestly, definitely in brick and mortar retail with grocery and everything else. And obviously that's heavily shifted. We spend a lot of time at Sprouts and a lot of money at Sprouts. Groceries are expensive. Eating healthy seems to be expensive, but it's getting better. But, what do y'all's take on it being a niche within our space? The unattended vending micro markets, as that's continued to evolve with technology, so as the food and beverage options. So kind of just to start it off, like, why isn't it necessarily a niche, and it really needs to be a main focal point for operators that are listening?
Yeah, absolutely. I think to start answering that question, I do want to touch on kind of, what is Olipop? I think it is a newer brand to a lot of consumers. So for, I think, people to understand, why it's a niche, I think they kind of have to go back a little bit. Our CEO and founder, back when he was only 14, he kind of had like a health awakening. He was accustomed to the standard American diet, which consisted of the high sugar, the snacks, the sodas. And once he kind of began that health journey, the greatest impact that he felt was his newfound mental clarity. So he was in kombucha for a little bit and then created Olipop back in 2018. So to your question, why is it a niche or, is it not a niche product? Olipop is really, impacting consumers' health at scale. And today we are noticing consumers are really looking for those healthier choices, but they do not want to compromise on taste. They're looking for the health benefits. They want functional items that they can eat throughout the day that, can add the fiber that's lower in sugar, that's lower in calories, and to support their, their gut health, their digestive, any issues they have. So it really is a evolving consumer behavior that we've seen over, I would say, over the last 10 years. And I can attest to that coming from a less healthier industry and now into this industry. Consumers are really looking for those healthier choices. And I don't think it's a niche, product as it once was.
Nice. And so you said probably like over the last 10 years, and maybe it has been 10 years. I just feel like it's been a lot. Maybe it's more rapidly changing in the last 3 to 5 years. And maybe a question I have for that is like, is there a generational trend with that too? Is it, across the board, or is it, primarily younger people caring about their health and, everything's kind of that lifestyle, work-life balance, all those things have come into play. So if I had to guess, I'm assuming that it's pretty generational, but how have y'all seen that into the older generations as well?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So you definitely see some differences by generation. I would say Gen Z, they definitely crave that bold flavor and functional benefits. They love brands with a story. You're seeing them really play in the space of mocktails and social buzz and kind of looking at different drink menus a little differently, where millennials, they're now quickly becoming or have been parents. So they're definitely trading up from traditional sodas. They're looking for clean labels and digestive benefits, and they're looking for things that can benefit the whole family. And then we're also seeing really the big change in Gen Xers and boomers. So they're definitely cutting sugar. And they're prioritizing their gut health. I'm sure they're probably also getting a little tap on the shoulder from their kids that are saying, you probably need to make some, I'd like to see you move to make some better changes. So, but I think the real opportunity for operators is, we all know consumers love soda. It has a 97% household penetration, and it's going through a major shift. And what they want, how they consume it, and why they choose the certain brands. It's really about making sure that Olipop, who's bringing in new shoppers to the machines and micro markets, their purchasing power is growing much faster than older generations. So, and it's also a premium category. So we're bringing in consumers who are actually going to spend more in soda dollars. So I think you're seeing generation, but you're also seeing, to your very first question, moving it from kind of niche to much more mainstream by all generations.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I mentioned it earlier that we are an Olipop household. My wife likes to keep it very clean and healthy here. And I actually stopped drinking caffeinated sodas in 2009. Now, with that caveat, I still drink a lot of coffee, but just caffeinated sodas, I stopped, but I still crave the bubble taste, right? And so I was very happy when my wife brought Olipop into the picture, because it's like I can have bubbles and flavor and taste. And my wife says it's okay to drink, and she's not mad at me because I'm drinking, Sprite or something like that.
We love wife approved.
Yeah, well, I definitely can't say that I jumped into this market my own. I was pushed into it, but I love it there. And you kind of touched on it at the end, Cathy. Obviously most of our listeners are vending, micro market operators, and everything else. And because of that kind of trend in consumers, like what they're wanting and everything else, how have you seen kind of y'all's? Obviously, like I said, we go to Sprouts to see the cooler. Like they usually pick the impulse buy on the way to the register all the time. How have y'all seen y'all's growth inside kind of the unattended space, specifically with vending industry, micro markets, and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we kind of touched on, the micro market vending environment, it's evolving as well. Quick doesn't mean low quality anymore. Consumers are focused on their preventative health. They're thinking, what can I do now in this 30-second decision that will better my future, better my wellness, moving forward. So Olipop recently has launched into almost 20,000 C-store doors where healthy options really weren't as prevalent. So we're taking note that healthy options are really sought after in every venue, down to the C-store, down to the micro market, down to the vending. And, we know on this side of the business that the unattended micro markets too are growing. It's easier for the consumers, easier for the vendor operators, and they drive a little higher profitability. So I think as the consumer behavior evolves, or especially around the convenience, the quick decisions, the expectations for the micro markets and vending have also really risen. And, what was grab and go is now, okay, what is the smartest, most satisfying, better for you choice that I can grab in this, the vending machine and the micro markets.
Yeah, and Cathy, you said something just a little bit ago about it being a premium product and people being willing to spend more, which, we see specifically in micro markets. You can take the same product in a vending machine and has that perception of cheap. You put it in a micro market and you could charge, 150% of what you were charging in a vending machine. Nobody bats an eye, right? So it seems like it's a very good fit in terms of the product and premium product selection there. But with that, where do y'all see operators falling short? Specifically, a lot of my operators have been in this industry forever. They bought the same stuff from the same people for a very long time. Where do you see them falling short in terms of, adopting this newer, healthier kind of product line?
Yeah. Well, I think that you definitely see operators that evolved. You see operators that are really leaning in. And a lot of those ones leaning in are calling us, and we're walking them through some of the insights and the trends. And at the end of the day, it's really what consumers want. And we know consumers have told us they want low sugar, functional beverages. They want clean labels, plant-based, allergy-friendly, things that really align with their wellness goals. And I would say that you definitely go to a machine and you see that it hasn't evolved with shopper behavior. But then you go into other ones and they're really doing a good job of calling out, hey, this section, this is a better for you option. And I think anytime an operator can do that and really do a call out to saying, hey, we are evolving and we have new stuff, because we all know everybody loves to see new news and new better for you things for consumers to choose. So I think those are the ones that are really doing great, is the ones that are leaning into these category trends and these consumer behaviors. And then there's also ones that feel safe, right, with their current planogram, but no, it's really not meeting today's consumer need states.
And with that, so if I'm an operator and I've stuck to the same old, I don't like to play it risky. I'm always just safe. What's an easy way to start kind of improving that product mix, getting more, of these healthier options without taking a deep dive or a big jump in? What's the easiest way to ease into it from your perspective? Whether it be beverage, obviously that's what y'all are, or food for that matter, if you have any insight there.
I think, starting with a couple flavors would be a great start, kind of upgrade your beverage mix to have those offerings. They are high margin items and the demand is there, especially with those health conscious consumers. So, they will sell. I think the trial is very important. As Cathy had mentioned, the merchandising, the POS, the call out. If you have a simple signage on the shelf, you can tag your highlight, supporting gut health, better for you option, low sugar. I think these POS items make the healthier items easier to spot, which will improve the trial and perception rate, because we all know, I'm sure you guys have stats of the average time looking at a vending machine or micro market, but I'd imagine it's seconds. And then also rotating in a seasonal or a limited time offering. I think even if you have 3 flavors, it's a great way to swap one out and kind of creates urgency and keeps the assortment feeling fresh without doing a full reset. One flavor Olipop has that really resonates with this is our crisp apple. So it's a really good opportunity to plug and play when kind of refresh your options and get people excited about a new flavor.
I'm gonna be honest, I feel like I've had pretty much all of them. I don't think I've had crisp apple. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for that one now. And on that note, I was actually gonna ask that before that, but that brought it up, is just out of curiosity. So do y'all see a difference in terms of the best-selling flavors from like brick and mortar C stores versus vending and micro markets? Is it kind of like the same across the board, or that's just a personal curiosity question there?
Yeah, I would say kind of C-store, micro markets, vending, they trend with similar flavor assortments. I would say with food, it trends a little differently because the consumer acts a little different. You know, if you're eating a burger and pizza, that might pair differently with the flavor than if you're on the road looking for a little pick-me-up. And then I would say also retail differs a little bit as well. So I think it's really at the point of purchase, what is the point of that purchase? You know, what am I using this soda for? What part of the day am I enjoying the beverage? And so in those three ways, it does differ a little bit.
Nice. I was just curious on like what the most popular flavors were and everything else. And, you know, kind of moving into, so we just talked about like how operators need to do this, right? You know, there's hesitation, I'm sure, and y'all see it a lot. And do you think that hesitation more comes from this? They don't believe, they personally don't try the product. They don't believe in the demand of these healthier items because they're kind of stuck in the past. They haven't adapted. Or is it because of a perceived cost, an accessibility thing? Like, what do y'all see as like the biggest hesitations for an operator to go ahead and put healthier items like Olipop in their vending or their markets?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say that we get it because it's more expensive. It is a premium product. But I would also say that we know that 80% of consumers are actively seeking healthier options. I mean, just even going around the screens here, everybody's really making the choices that you guys shared of what you're consuming is pretty healthy. And I think that health forward items just really aren't a nice to have anymore. They're really, it shows as a vending or micro market operator that you're modern and curated and you're in touch with consumers want, because we know that 77% of people drink a functional soda once a week. I mean, that's a staggering stat. So I think that, listen, we would love the opportunity to engage with some of these micro markets and vending operators. We would love to walk them through a deck of stats that really show them, you know, to be able to, you know, we know that it's a little bit disruptive for them because they're used to that certain planogram, but I think there's just so much upside and opportunity for them to be able to actually bring those beverages that consumers are wanting to their machines and micro markets.
And I'm going to ask the question I've been waiting to ask it. It's maybe not the elephant in the room question, but I'm still going to go ahead and ask it. So obviously in the last few weeks, there's been headlines by, I would assume, y'all's biggest competitor, Poppi, right? They acquired $2 billion, Pepsi. A lot of our guys get stuff direct from Pepsi and Coke now. So in their, off the top of my head, I think they see, oh, well, then it's easier for me to get because it's Pepsi, right? I already get from Pepsi, so I can get this if I want to bring it in. Can you talk on like what y'all's current distribution is specifically for operators, like whether it's Vistar, different things like that? Like if I'm an operator, I want to put Olipop in one of my markets. Where do I get it? How do I acquire that product?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I will tell you that we have a really incredible strategic relationship with Vistar. We really think that they are one of our superpowers. We've been working with Ryan Toombs. He has us stocked in 21 of the top DCs. So availability is no problem. Their entire team has been so responsive. We, of course, are addressing consumer or actually client needs across the country. And I will just say that Vistar has really jumped in and helped us make sure that on that last mile, they get our product to that venue in a timely manner with great collaboration and communication. So we couldn't be more thrilled about our partner with Vistar.
That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, obviously most of my operators get their stuff from Vistar, so easily accessible and available. So no excuses for anybody listening on why you can't bring it in. And you touched back, you've said it a couple times, right? It's a premium product. There may be a perceived like it's too expensive or things like that. But obviously micro markets I already touched on too. You can charge that higher stuff. Just obviously can't get into the details and the numbers, but from a profitability standpoint, you said it's high margin. If I'm an operator trying to come in, what do the margins look like and compare to traditional sodas? You
want me to take this?
Sure.
Yeah. So We can't really speak to the margin because we don't know exactly the markup, but I can say it's our price point is anywhere between $3.49 to $3.99, so that'll give them a little bit of a comparison as to kind of how they're priced with traditional sodas. But definitely, it is a very profitable item to be stocked.
Very nice. Yeah, I mean, it's cans versus bottles, and that's another argument amongst operators. Some feel very strongly one way or the other. Most feel strongly one way or the other. Obviously, y'all cans. You can stock more. There's a perception sometimes. I have operators that say cans are more profitable for them. I have operators that say bottles. So I think that plays into personal preference there too, and maybe just what part of the country they're in.
One of the other things that I'm hoping it's favorable, but we just launched early this year our sleek can. So we find that micro markets love it because you can actually provide a greater variety of products in that same amount of space that maybe you could get for 3 legacy cans. So now you can stock 4 sleek cans.
So when you say sleek, are you talking like, I've seen the minis. Are you talking like almost like an energy drink? Like,
yes.
I feel terrible. I want to say seltzer because they're the tall, skinny cans, right? So that's what you're referring to as sleek can?
Yes, that's exactly.
Okay, very nice.
Also, Vistar has stocked.
Okay, awesome. I don't think I've seen those. Definitely have to keep an eye out for them. But I like the sleek can. I know there's something about when a can gets skinnier but taller, it just changes perception. I don't know.
You're spot on. We've seen a lot of studies where people and consumers are willing to pay for that more elevated vessel.
Yeah, I mean it's like probably the same amount of aluminum. I don't understand, but I know it in my own head. I'm like, oh, it's tall and skinny, so I don't know why it's like. I feel like you either have the perception of it's a seltzer and it's alcohol coming from Cassie's old world, or it's like, oh, well, it's going to give me energy or it's healthy for me. I don't know why. Maybe I just made that up, but that's like my perception. Tall and skinny means something different.
I mean, hey, you are our target consumer, so we're listening to you.
Well, my wife, but I'll make sure I keep helping keep the lights on. And as we've kind of talked through, like looking at it and understanding the trends and where operators need to look and they need to bring it in. How do they manage that product mix and that planogram? Like, I mean, I'm sure I would love for an operator to bring 5-6 flavors in, right? But realistically, someone's, bringing it in for the first time. Like, what would you recommend? 2, 3? I know Cassie said something about, rotating in like a seasonal. Like, what would be y'all's best approach or strategy for an operator listening that hasn't brought anything like this in and is going to kind of walk us through like what they should look at?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in an ideal world, I think 3 is a good mix. Keep the test small, keep it, visible on a certain timeline, see what flavors are working. I think the flavors are very regional. We do have 7 flavors in that sleek format. And you can work with your distributor, your Vistar. The good thing about vending in micro markets is that you do get that real-time data. So you can see, which flavor is selling, what time of day is it selling, is there an opportunity to maybe swap one out and try something different? So I think starting with 3 is a really good beginning mark and just keeping note of, the data, the insights, the resources, and then, work with us, work with the distributor. If you need POS, if you need education or anything, if you need people to try it and learn what it is, that's another great way. We're here to support. We've got an awesome team. So we're here to support any launch be successful, as well as Vistar. They're awesome. They have all the data, the tools. So yeah, starting small, evaluating, the flavors, what works best in your area, and then understanding when it is time to expand. Maybe they're seeing summertime, people love Olipop. We're going to bring it up to 5 flavors. So I think just paying attention to that immediate data.
So, I mean, this may sound like an obvious question, but, how does an operator know that a location is, ready, a good spot for healthier mix, aside from, they're asking for it, right? But is there any like telltale signs? And then kind of with that, probably should break it up into 2, but I'm going to ask anyways. Obviously, y'all are beverage. Do y'all know or have any data? Like, are there anything specific like healthier snacks that usually end up selling selling and pairing well with Olipop that y'all see that maybe an operator should bring both of those in?
I'm thinking about that pairing. I would say all vending and micro markets are ready now. I think just by our consumer trends and where everyone's leaning, to become more health focused and wellness focused. I think it's a great time with the consumers that we've studied, the consumers that we've seen, over the past 3 to 5 years, as you said. I also think, since it is a high margin product, it's not going to, affect their set of just having a couple flavors in there to try. Cathy, what are your thoughts on the bev snack pairing?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So one other stat that I would just throw out is when you say, who would be ready? 1 in 3 people drink them daily. 1 in 3 people drink them daily. So I think that stat just says that, this is really much more mainstream than maybe they even know. I think to Cassie's point, I think being able to have a little call out, because consumers, aren't probably paying attention to you resetting the machine. So it's really great to be able to call out, hey, new news over here. And then to your snack question, I can only say anecdotal. I don't have any type of specific data, but I am hearing more and more consumers picking this up with like a protein, high protein snack. But that is just more of my friend network, having like some type of a protein bar with it.
And apologies, I totally threw y'all out to dry there because y'all are just beverage, but I was just curious. I don't know why. The one thing that comes to my head is the healthy popcorn, right? I feel like that's maybe it's just because I see my daughter drinking Olipop and eat the healthy popcorn. But,
Absolutely.
Those unofficially, if you're listening, those two go great together is what we found out from my studies watching my 5-year-old daughter. But with that, also one thing that I just kind of came to my head and I thought of is so a lot of our operators do schools, right? And schools, depending on what region you are in the country, have very specific, very strict what you can and can't put in the machine. Some of those I laugh at because when I see what they have in the machine, I'm like, how does that fit? But whatever. With that note, is you said younger generations. Is that somewhere y'all seen success, or if an operator has a bunch of schools, or middle school or high schoolers, so they drink an Olipop?
We're definitely smart snack approved for 9 through 12. And I know that we're working to make sure that we would love to be able to have our product more accessible. And we are in process of working on that.
Awesome. I don't know why that just came to my head because I know a lot of operators struggle with what they can and can't put in, and are they good selling products for schools? And like I said, if my 5-year-old daughter loves it, I'm sure everybody in between her and me does as well. So, we continue this trend and how to bring it. What do you think is a good trial period or test period? So I'm an operator, I bring in 3 flavors, like Cassie said. What do you think is a good runway for me to get a true understanding of, is this selling, is it not? And is there any specific metrics or anything that I look at? Obviously, some operators are on our VMS, some aren't. If they use our systems, we have a lot of powerful data analytics to back that up. And if so, what should they be looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. I think to have a successful test, I think a 3-month time frame would be a good start, a minimum, because you can see within, a quarter of a year, any seasonality trends. I also think comparing the rate of sale velocity to, another healthier, better for you option that they might already have in the micro market would be a good place to start. I do understand that having an Olipop or a functional soda in their set will probably be the first of its kind. So I think that they can compare it to some other beverages, but I also do think they need to understand it's new. It's a new product for them. So, compare it to one of the healthier options. Maybe it's like a kombucha or something similar, and, see how well it's selling. And then also, as I discussed before, the flavors. I think 3 months is a good time where if a flavor really is not doing well, they can easily swap it out and, see how it does the next month.
Perfect. I don't know why 90 days just seemed like the right thing in my head too, but I was going to let the experts tell me on that. I like that. And then, you've mentioned it a couple of times, Cassie, and I think Cathy, you've said it too, is that call out, I keep referring to it as that. Now vending, which I would love to see the numbers, Olipop sales vending versus micro market. Cause to me, I do this, talk to operators every day. To me, I probably wouldn't put an Olipop in a vending machine because it's the perception of cheap. But you put it in a market all day long, especially in higher end office buildings, things like that. But won't get into that. But I'd love to see the data. You say these call outs. So with our kiosks, for example, they can put ads or banners pop up on the screen when there's idle. Are y'all seeing more digital call outs? Or are y'all seeing a physical, you think of it as a store, a thing? And if so, is there any kind of marketing material or actual physical thing that y'all provide to operators to help them call that out in the market?
So that's a great question. So in many of our micro markets, we have customers that have reached out wanting Olipop, and they actually give it as a benefit to their employees. So in a lot of instances, they're actually offering that product for free for their employee satisfaction. We don't have any of those clings to date, but not to say that if we had an operator that says, we really want this, this is kind of how we want it to look, we will collaborate with them to be able to create the right type of POS, the right type of clings that can be able to provide that call out so that everyone has the best chance to be successful.
And if there is an opportunity for any digital advertisements as well, we have the assets. We can send them out to the vendors.
Awesome. I figured, especially on the digital side, I was curious on I don't know how much we see I don't know, I'm trying to think of in brick and mortar, like the end of aisle little, stands anymore. You don't really see those in micro markets and stuff. So I was curious kind of what that looked like there. So, as we're coming up a little bit on time, and I feel like I've done good, Anders, on staying on topic. So normally I go off on crazy tangents, especially if it's something that I actually consume or anything. But, as we've seen this crazy trend over the last, Cassie said 10 years, I think it's rapidly accelerated over the last 3 to 5 years, especially. I always laugh. I say this at the end of every episode. If you're a listener that comes back and listen, this is my crystal ball portion of the show. Cassie, this is where you have to look into your crystal balls and tell us the future, and then we'll come back a year later and see if you were right, but we won't hold you to it. Where do you kind of see this healthier option, Olipop world and everything else? Where do you see it going over the next, 1, 3, and 5 years? How is it going to continue to transition? Is it, Olipop going to stay more of that functional, healthy thing? Is there an energy side to it? Again, not holding y'all to anything, just throw it out there. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I can say Olipop and the functional soda segment, it's not going anywhere. It's definitely here to stay. I know just over last year, the functional soda segment of the beverage industry grew, over 120%. As the consumers are looking to become more healthy on their wellness, kicks, I think that's going to be long term. It's not going to be a short term thing. People aren't going to be, I'm going to be healthy, these 2 years, and then I'm going to revert back to old ways. So I think that we're only getting bigger. We're only growing. New entrants are coming into the market, which also proves that it's not just a niche product. Cathy, I don't know if you have any other stats you want to share, but I think, she mentioned earlier, 1 in 3 people are drinking an Olipop or another functional soda or beverage every day. So I think that's really only going to continue. I would say if you pull up your crystal ball 3 years from now, maybe we'll have, some more innovative, fun flavors. But I think a lot more people will know what functional sodas are. And, maybe that stat goes to, everybody's drinking it once a day.
Yeah. And I think from a brand awareness perspective, we're only at 50% brand awareness. And we're already seeing 1 in 3 consumers drinking it every day. So you can just imagine when more and more consumers try it and realize, wow, that tastes great and feels very nostalgic and also provides functional benefits. I think that's where we'll continue to see just massive growth.
You said the nostalgia. I don't really have a favorite Olipop flavor, but specifically the vintage cola, because it just tastes like traditional cola. And like I said, it stopped 2009. That one takes me back. I'm like, I get just the cola flavor. And I was, Cathy, you were there. I was never a Coke person. I'm from Texas, so I was Dr. Pepper all the way. It was the only thing that mattered. Which y'all have a flavor. I think Dr. Goodwin. I think, yep. If I remember that correctly, I've had it I've had most of them. So a question that I have, maybe it's not a question, it's a statement, my little crystal ball, is I kind of see it. We're going to go back to Cassie's previous world with the alcohol industry. You saw seltzers come in, right? And I don't remember which one was first. It was White Claw and Truly. I think they were the kind of the main 2 first ones. And then everybody had a seltzer. Every major alcohol brand had a seltzer and everything else. So I'm sure there are more out there. Y'all would know better than me. But, the 2 big ones I think of are Olipop and Poppy. And, Poppy's been acquired. Olipop's still just growing crazy. Over the next 1, 2, 3 years, I'm really curious to see how many new entrants to the market that are just homegrown, like Poppy or Olipop themselves, and how many of the Pepsis and the Cokes of the world. Pepsi made their decision there, but are they going to buy an Olipop? Are they going to buy an up and comer? Or are they going to try to homegrown it? Just because, like I said, it's like the seltzer world, like all of a sudden, boom, they all popped up. That's what I think I'm most excited to see, is how many different brands or options are there of this segment in the next couple of years. And I don't know if that was a question or just a statement. So if you have anything to chime in on that, let me know. But I'm really curious to see there. For sure.
No, yeah, Russ, I completely agree with you. I think since I came from that seltzer world when it was booming, new entrants just proves the category even more, and it proves that it is going to be around for a long time and it's not just a fad. So I think, it's always scary when you see 10 new, items launched in your market, but on the other flip side of that, it's like, okay, what we are doing is working. So.
And we're so excited. Just the client, the number of engagements we have every single week, wanting Olipop is so inspiring, and it has really been incredible to be able to see that kind of consumer and customer reaction. There's just so much upside, so much runway for us in the future.
Yeah, and Cassie, you said it, it's a little scary, but more and more competition, again, just validates that market and drives everything up. And the last crystal ball-ish question, I guess I would say, is, self-service retail, and in retail from the technology side, that's our world. Obviously, y'all are from the CPG side. Is there anything specific about the self-service in the retail market, probably more specifically with technology as it continues to evolve? Is there anything specific there that excites y'all about being able to continue to grow Olipop and getting it to more and more consumers?
Yeah, I think we're really excited about too with the vending micro market is kind of the immediate data, because in the past, we could work with distributors, we could work with, direct customers, but I think now, especially with, all the AI tools, it's almost instant, and we can roll that up and we can give better recommendations and better suggestions for our retail and vending operators, which will obviously make them more money and get our consumers what they want to. So I think, as technology evolves, it's just going to make everything better because we can just get the immediate feedback, which is something I don't think I ever had, in my past CPG previous companies. So I'm most excited about that.
Yeah. And you guys have so much flexibility to be able to try different things with different machines, from pricing architecture to different flavor sets, just to even different positioning on where they're sitting in the machine or micro market on what performs at its peak. So I think just having that type of flexibility and data is very powerful.
Yeah, Cathy, if only everyone loved data as much as I do, and it sounds like you do too. But we'll see. We have the data there. Who uses it yet to be determined. So, to kind of wrap up, I'm going to just shoot some questions at you, give quick, short answers, kind of where you think, and it'll be curious to come back later and look at it. So, and y'all can raise your hand or you can go first, however y'all want to jump in. But I want to hear from both of you on each of them. Obviously, y'all are beverage. We said that, but throw that out the window for a second. Beverage snack. What product category in food and beverage is kind of due for this healthy glow up, this new healthier version trend? Just off the top of your head.
I'll go first. I would say baked goods, cookies. That is where I think definitely progress has been made, but I think there's really a lot of opportunities there for something great tasting, but still healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. As Cathy will attest to, I am also a treat hound. So, desserts. I think there's an opportunity to have them taste a little more like desserts, but maybe have some functionality towards them too. So I don't feel guilty smashing 5 cookies in an afternoon.
As if I get healthy candy. Oh, that would be the best. Give me some healthy Skittles or better for me Skittles, something like that.
Better for you. That's the buzzword, right? Better for you. My daughter would definitely fall in line on the cookie thing for sure. But hey, we got soda to healthy soda to finally taste good, and different things like that. So it just takes time. But next one. So favorite unusual, we'll call it unusual, location that you've seen healthy for you product thrive in, whether that be Olipop or something else, which is kind of the craziest, weirdest, most unusual location.
Yeah, I think, I mentioned earlier C-Store. I think that is an unusual, very unexpected, very popular location now for that healthy kind of glow up on products. And then also I want to mention drug. We're seeing Olipop in a lot of the drug channel, and it's just a channel I would never even think about, and it makes complete total sense.
Yeah, pick up a prescription, pick up a healthy soda. There you go.
Yep.
For me, it's specialty retail. So we're starting to really expand into specialty retail. And so if you think about the female on the go, going to a lot of different shopping environments, being able to find us there as well in multi-packs. So that was one of the ones that's been kind of a shining star.
Very nice. I don't even know if I have one for that. I would probably say one of our gyms or something like that, because gym markets, because it plays. But well, I'll have to come back and answer that question probably in like a year after y'all like really get operators on board. And then I guess the last one is like, so I'm an operator. I've listened to this whole podcast and learned all these great things from Russ, Anders, Cathy, and Cassie about healthy for you products, and walked me through how I need to do it. What's one thing I can do tomorrow to start testing this trend, to start kind of getting my toe in the water and go from there and listen to everything that we've said on this podcast so far?
Yeah, I would say two things. I would say, call Vistar. We'll get you started. We'll get you learning. And then number two, I would say try the product. I think once they try it, they'll be very, very surprised, and the taste and how nostalgic it is. And I think it will help them understand, what Olipop is trying to do.
I could not have said it better.
Perfect. And with that note, this is usually where we let people do shameless plugs and Instagram handles and websites and everything else. Obviously, y'all are a super large brand, but kind of touching to wrap it up with what you said, Cassie. So I'm an operator. Do you think it's the best for me to just call Vistar, my Vistar rep, and try to talk to him? If I'm an operator, because I know that a lot of them try to call their national account managers for Red Bull or different things like that. Is it best to try to find and reach out to you or Cathy or Cassie, or how do I reach out to learn more if I'm an operator?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I'm assuming our contact information will be here. Reach out to us. And then also Vistar will be your closest, representative to be able to help the quickest. And that representative too will work with us as well on the back end. We're talking to them every day. So either or.
I was just going to say, or email us at foodservice@drinkolipop.com.
There we go. I'll throw that up.
I was about to say, Anders, put it below, put it in the chat. Well, again, Cathy, Cassie, thank y'all so much for your time. I've loved having you on here. Again, I told y'all from the very beginning, I'm an Olipop family, especially my wife and daughter. So this just plays right into this. Definitely have to check out the sleek cans, just because we go to the lake a lot. It would take a little less room in the cooler. So again, definitely a customer here. So, but Anders, you got anything to say before we cut out? I mean,
you might have converted me, honestly, Cathy. Before we started recording, I know you mentioned a certain do alternative. I might have to try that out, because I'm about a day guy, so might definitely have to get that in there.
The Ridge Rush, I've tried it. I was never really a big Mountain Dew guy, but I could just see it. I knew what it meant, and it was good. Like I said, I've tried most of the flavors.
We have been on a road show, Cassie and I, for the last 9 weeks. And when I tell you, when people would try this, they'd be like, wow, that is delish. So we say it's the flavor of the summer.
That might be it for me.
It does have 50 milligrams of green tea caffeine if you are making an even swap. So just a little call out, it'll help.
All right.
I don't know why. The data point I want to see is 12 months from now, what is the Olipop's market share, specifically Ridge Rush, in the state of West Virginia? Because I'm pretty sure that's like the Mountain Dew capital of the world. So we'll have to go back and check it.
I'm going to have a little repeat of this a year from now, so you guys can tell us how many more micro markets and vending machines have Olipop.
The Anders, put it on the calendar. Let's just schedule a year in advance. But again, Cathy, Cassie, thank y'all so much. We really appreciate everything. Anders is going to put, I don't know how he does it, but he just does it for us. He's going to put everything down below so people can reach out to y'all. I look forward to seeing y'all probably at future events, different shows and things like that, and talking more. But again, thank you, everybody listening. As always, we appreciate you taking the time to listen to Retail on the Go. Get it where your podcasts are. I never remember that whole line, so I'm just going to say that. But just continue to listen, comment on the jackets, because we're really trying to get some feedback there. But until next time, thank you. And this is Retail on the Go signing off.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Hey, everybody. Just a heads up here. We're going on a summer break to do some planning, recording, and some much-needed vacationing. We'll be back later this summer with fresh new episodes. So thanks for listening and watching Retail on the Go. See you soon.